Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of SimCity. Today we are going to be starting a new city. Yes, that's right. And we're not going to jump into that straight away, but that's what I want to do. This city has been really fun, but it feels like we've reached our sort of limits with what we can do in this place, and at the moment everything is just kind of stagnating. I've been making lots of changes and micromanagement kind of stuff in the last few episodes, and you know what? Nothing's really changed, has it? We sit around the same population, and you know, I make all these changes and nothing really seems to make that big an impact. But I think this city has been a big success. You know, the layout was pretty bad when you consider how this road here is backed up with traffic. I don't think the grid itself is that bad, just I don't know, it didn't really come together over here, and that's, I think, caused so many problems. I think ambulances and stuff get stuck because of all this traffic, and in general the tip that you read everywhere when you read about this game is how important is traffic. So if we're going to be doing a new city, that gives us a new opportunity, and with everything that we've learned in this city, hopefully we can make something really cool. Yeah, so the thing is though, with this new city, there's going to be a challenge. There's going to be coal mining and ore mining, and also Corrales is going to be making a Las Vegas city. So we're not going to have a lot of commercial in our city. It's going to be a very industrial and residential one, and then people are going to be commuting to his city, which means after all we've learnt about traffic, we are actually going to be generating commuters to another city. But you know, it's fun. We set ourselves some parameters and challenges, and we'll try and adapt to them. But before we do that, we need to talk about this city here. I don't want to abandon it. I think what I'm going to do is when I want to relax and, you know, watch something, I'll load up SimCity and just play in this world for a bit and keep it progressing, because we still have the Great Works project going on that we need to contribute to. You can see that actually we've made quite a lot of progress with this, and I haven't played since I last recorded, so I think this is probably Doc M who's helping out with that. Now he's been talking about some problems that he's had, so we're going to have a look at that next, and then we're going to go look at the new area, which is over here. This is where we agreed we would move to next, and I was hoping that we could all do an episode together on this, but it's not going to be possible. You know, we're all busy people, and coordinating that kind of stuff is difficult. That's why we have our once a week meeting. Yeah, so another thing that I want to mention, a couple of episodes ago, the meeting, you saw it was Doc M's perspective, and that confused a lot of people, and I was expecting that. You know, how can I tell you guys that you're going to be watching Doc M's video because I can't edit it? So I put a little link in the, well, not a link, a description in the description box of what had happened. Basically I recorded, but it was set up to live stream, so it just didn't do anything with the recording. It didn't save it to the hard disk, and because of that I didn't have, you know, anything to show you guys. And rather than put out a little video saying, you know, go watch someone else's video, Doc just said, you know, why don't I send you my perspective, and then you can upload it to YouTube. So we did that, and that's why you watch Doc M's perspective. Luckily though, you know, it was all about the talking really. You didn't have to pay too much attention to what was going on the screen, because we were just discussing our cities and what to do about them. But anyway, let's go and have a look at what's going on here. He says in the chat that since he's added a second recycling centre, his depots or something aren't working. So let's have a look. Okay, so he has no recyclables. He has some of the other ones though. That's just material storage actually. Oh, I get it. So this is the amount of things you have to be turned into product. Okay, got it. And then he's got a trade depot right next to it, which is really smart. And he doesn't accept local metal deliveries, which is interesting. That might be causing him some problems, because it won't accept them from the same region if it's local, I do believe. In fact, he's got 3 of these. Look, got another one over here. That is, yeah, no recyclables again. So let's have a look at this one down here. Waste disposable. He is collecting 10,000 of 17,000 recycling bins, and he has 10 recycling trucks. 16? Can you get that many? I thought you could only get up to like 8, but he's got 10 and 16. And on that one he's got 8. Perhaps these little things that you build, they must hold like 2 each, because I always max them out. We could pop back and have a look actually, but yeah, it seems like, you know, the AI of the game is just very strange. With that amount of, you know, trucks and recycling centres, he should be getting every bin in the city and exporting all of that, but it's not happening. So again, just seems like, you know, the game being strange as it is. So let's return back and just check that out quickly, and then we will go and look at the new area. I'm actually really excited to start a new area because I've been playing in my own little private region, trying out different layouts, and a few that I've tried have actually failed. I've got a few ideas. I'm going to go over there and sort of look at the region, because we're going to have to base it around the coal and ore that's available, because we're going to mine them. We're going to be a mining city, and then we'll have to plan the layout around that. So let's have a quick look. Okay, so there's 16 of those, and there are 8 of these delivery trucks there. Recycling collection trucks too. Okay, very cool. Really wanted to know that. And we are collecting 12,000 of 24, considering we have just 2 plants and Doc had 3. Strange stuff. It's all down to traffic though, it's got to be. Anyway, right, let's go look at the region view so that we can hop over to this area. This is where we're going to be setting up our next bunch of cities. So the regions we think are divided into 4. So even though there's 4 cities over here, they're all linked to that Great Works project, and I don't think you can do things like send money from there over to here, or even get the power from the Great Works as well over to this area, which is kind of disappointing. It seems like it's that way. I don't know 100% that it is, but yeah. So anyway, I was interested in this plot right here first of all because it's completely flat, or at least it looks it, and if we have a look here, it's got tons of coal and ore. But at the same time, this one over here I think is the one that's, yeah, it's got maximum ore and coal, and it's not quite flat. You lose a little bit in the corner, which I don't mind, but it'd be really good to have a fully flat site, you know, and maximise the use of that area. There's also a really bad site over there, that one, Hickory Ridge. That's terrible. I don't know who's going to get that, but they're probably going to be drawing the shortest straw, so to say. Okay, so there's Prospect, and then there's this one here. Now this one as well has both 4 amounts of coal and ore, so let's see what the difference is between them. Nothing. So if we were to pick either one of these, I don't want to have a load of hills and a hole in my land again. I found that really annoying. In fact, that's quite similar to what I have already. And if we look here, the entrance is kind of similar to how I have it in mine. And then if we go over to this one, where is the entrance on this? It's down in the corner again. Does it join up over this side? No. Now what I'd really like is an area that has a road going through it. I think that would be the best way to deal with traffic. But it seems like all of these ones are, yeah, they've just got one entrance and exit, and that's probably going to be the best one right there, although it doesn't have the full coal and ore, and the landscape as well isn't quite flat. Let's have a look around though. Let's see if there is one in the region that has a road going through it. That one certainly doesn't. I thought it did for a second there. If you look at the way the blue line goes across, it almost looked like it did. So I don't think any of these do. Maybe this one over here. Nope, that one doesn't have a road going through it. I know Hickory Ridge doesn't. And one of the funny things about Hickory Ridge, if we go and look over here, it looks like it would cost you a lot of money to build a road that goes all the way up to the top where the land is. So that's going to be an awkward city. Do you know what, it might be quite fun though to have a challenge like that, building on such a terrible plot. Now this one has a road going through it. That's the kind of city that I'd like, because it must be really easy to alleviate traffic, having 2 entrances and exits to your city. In fact, look at this, all of these ones do. That one there does, this one here. And what about the last one? Now that, I bet you everyone is going to want that plot. Completely flat. You got a train over on this side, and then a road going all the way through it. And does this one? No, this one doesn't, so that's the odd one out. Anyway, we're going to go back over here, and enough thinking about it. We're going to claim this one over here. I did discuss with the other guys, they seemed fairly cool for me to take this one. So let's claim it, and in we go. I'm actually going to take a little cut here because I want to, well actually no, I don't need to. I've got something I want to show you first of all, but I do want to just take, you know, a long moment to think about the road layout. It's going to be ever so important, and yeah, just want to give that some serious thought so we make the right decisions from the beginning. The thing that I want to look at straight away is, and if we go into here and have a look at mining, it should give us the shortcut to the coal map. So we have a big deposit of coal there, and nowhere else by the looks of it, so we'll be mining that. And iron ore kind of over on this side of the city, so there could be potentially 4 spots that we're going to be mining that from. Now, I haven't done this before, so I don't know if we were to plop one down, say there, then it would mine a large radius around it. So I would probably guess that that wouldn't happen. I don't know. That's something else we're going to have to find out. Anyway, I'm going to give myself some time to think about the road layout. Okay, I've given it some thought, and you know what? If we're going to make a city where we are creating commuters to go in and out of the city, we're going to have traffic problems no matter what we do. So I think what I'd like to do is actually start off with a layout that's going to be sensible. It's going to have commercial areas in it, and we're not going to create those problems from day one. I mean, Kralis hasn't even started his other city yet, and what we can do later on is experiment. We can remove our commercial areas and then see what happens then, because I'd probably use a similar layout, since it doesn't really matter what you do. If you don't have commercial areas, people are going to commute and they're going to go through the only way in and out of our city. So what I want to do with this layout is very similar to the last one, but make some really big improvements to it, because I've been learning about how roads work, how you can lay out your city better, and I've got some cool things to show you with that. Might not have time for it in this episode or all of it, but I do have one thing to show you straight away. But what I want to do first of all, and only take me a moment to explain this, is do what we did before, have the avenues going down in rows like this, but what we want to do is take people away from coming onto this road down the bottom here, which is what we had a lot of in the previous layout. So if you think someone's coming down this road and they need to get over here, then they're going to come down into our main avenue down the bottom here, go round and then up into the other road, and that causes a lot of problems. So what we're going to do is have a parallel avenue that's slightly higher, and that's going to separate our industrial from our residential areas, or residential and commercial. They're going to be mixed. And what we're also going to do is not just zone an area like we did before. We selected industrial and just zoned the whole area, which means that the industrial building itself can attach itself to our avenue down the bottom here. We're not going to do that. We're going to actually select what side of the road the industrial area is going to be on. So that means someone commuting from up the top here comes down, they go into the second avenue, and the entrance to the building will be on that side, because it will be attached to that part of the road, and they should have no need to come down to this one here whatsoever, which then means that that's free for all of our services to use, people who have to commute in and out, or if we're trading goods. And let's say the trade is very important as well. We're going to be doing a lot of that probably in this city because we're mining. The industrial buildings are going to take their freight out and turn around down onto this road at the bottom here, which our residential people are not going to be using because we put the industrial on the other side of the road. So hopefully that makes sense. I should be able to show you in action before long. But what we're going to do is possibly sort of have a temporary half city. It sounds strange, but we want to do this mining thing. And if we go look at where everything is, that's not the right one. Our coal is in one big spot over here, so we can put down lots of coal mines on there and take all of that, but our ore is more spread out. So what I think we should do is focus on coal first and use the area over here on the right hand side to build our city, and then when we've got all of the coal we'll move on to ore, and then perhaps we can go over to the left hand side, fill that up, and yeah, remove some of the areas that we've already built. So that's my long-term plan. So enough talking, let's start building. And I have a cool little tip for you here. This is actually a perfect example because I went to build this road a moment ago, and if you have a look at the grid line that it brings up, it's not in line with the entrance of our city, and so when we go along here it snaps to the side like that, which is really annoying. But if you do hold down shift, then you can see how it moves over slightly. Now what happens when you hold down shift is it snaps to the absolute direction of north, so north is in a straight line. This is west, I don't know, it could be south, I'm not really, well it can't be south, south's the opposite of north, but you know what I mean. It snaps to that grid, I'm not really sure what you call that. So that is, you know, the absolute direction, but this is snapping to the grid line. So the grid line is actually parallel to that direction as well. So that is going to be very useful. I hope I made some sort of sense there, because it does sound like I was talking a bit of gibberish, but I'm sure you understand what I mean. I think it also snaps like that at a right angle. No, that's a right angle, that's 45 degrees. So anyway, that is very useful. That's just holding down shift on the keyboard. Okay, so we're going to have one avenue there, and then we're going to have another one behind it. Now if we go to zone this straight away, can you see how there is a yellow line at the back here? That is actually very important. That is a larger size density zone area than on a small road. So let's just create a little bit down here so I can show you. Oh, that snapped to that grid as well. The one we don't want it to, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to delete that. Now let's zone industrial on here. You can see it's smaller, and then over on here it's larger. So what we want to do when we zone out smaller roads is consider that it's going to be twice the size for a larger one, and I'll probably show you what that means in practice in a moment. But anyway, let's look at where that goes out to. Goes out to around here, and what we want to do is put our other avenue on the other side of that road, so then the back of its zone is going to be in line with this avenue, meaning we make the maximum efficiency out of the space there. God, I'm having a bad day. I'm always having a bad day with talking. Okay, yeah, let's start off with the low road, so let's not get crazy, and we're going to hold down shift just to make sure that grid line isn't out as well. And then we need to go across with an avenue. Now, if you remember what I talked about a moment ago, I think this one here means we can have two back-to-back, let's hold down shift when we do that, back-to-back areas. So let's just have a quick look. Yep, you can see how there's only a tiny gap in between them. Well, what we want to do is plop down an avenue right in the middle of those two. I'm not sure how we get the grid lines to let us do that. I think you might have to build a smaller road. No. And these grid lines are really strange. It is probably going to take me a moment to figure this out, so I'll make a cut. Okay, I think I got it. So I built a small road down the end here, and look at how far apart the grid lines are for avenues, but when you build small roads they're closer together, and I think this is the distance that we want. So I built a road there, and I've held down shift so it doesn't snap to that line. Built another one over here where it's suggested to, and now I think when we build this avenue that they're going to be the right distance apart. So let's have a look. Yep, you can see there. So when we put industrial zones on this side, people are going to commute to this road here and not the one behind it. And that is the key to our layout, I think, right there. So let's finish building this road. Yeah, I got a good feeling about this. This seems like a great idea. So we can do the same thing again in some respects. Do you see how that grid line came up there for the avenue? Now if I put a road here, I think it means that we can have two back-to-back regions, yep, of the smaller size, but we want to plan for the long run with these roads. We want to be able to remove them and place them with avenues in the future. So I think that means what we have to do is, now if you look at the distance between these 2 points, it's the same between that one. I think if this road were an avenue, it would be the same default distance that it picks for avenues, and the reason it picks that distance is so that you can have two zones back to back. So if we just do that and hold shift so it snaps to the direction, I'm going to hold down shift every time I place a road in this city so they're all right. Do that again. Okay, now if we have a quick look, I might have not built enough of that to show you. No, it doesn't bring up the back, but anyway, we can only go that far back, and there's a red line there. Why? No, okay, I don't know what that is about. But anyway, when we upgrade these to avenues in the future, then they're the right distance apart for us to have the high density buildings, is the point that I'm trying to make there. So this layout I really think is going to be, you know, very, very good. I've got good feelings about it. But at this point I just need to build a little more. You've seen the basic idea, so I think I'm going to build up a basic part of our grid, and then we will start doing some zoning. Okay, I've done some basic zoning, people are moving in, and you know what, we're just going to slow this down while I talk about the layout. So where I put these zones this time, now another important decision I just realised is, and I'm probably going to space out the commercial as we go along, you know, not have it all between the industrial and the residential, but for now I just wanted to show a point that we're going to put the zones on this side of the road and not on the avenue, because if we put it on the avenue we're going to draw more traffic into here that we don't need. Now these roads here are all for our, you know, residential people to get to work and then to go shopping, which is the two main things that they want to do. So if we can keep them on this road as much as possible, then it's not going to affect the traffic of our industries for, you know, exporting trade, etc. So what I haven't done is put these little areas in the corner. If you can see there, you can select the corner and it doesn't show you a zone line like it does there behind it. So I get the feeling that probably doesn't do anything, since the buildings don't go all the way up to the edge of the avenue, and that's actually reserved for buildings that want to face onto the avenue, so we're not going to be doing that. And when we upgrade these roads to avenues, they are spaced out the right distance, and it means as well, if we stick to the same thing, that they're going to take up all of that space and they're going to be attached to this road. So all in all, I think it's going to be a really interesting layout. It's basically the one we had before, just sort of perfected or taken to the next level, and it'll be a while before we do the experiment with Corrales and we take the commercial out of our city, so we have an opportunity here to really try this out and see what happens. But anyway, that's it for this episode. Next episode we got to put down some basic services. We need power and water, and hopefully we'll be able to start on mining the coal. However, you need something to do that, and what is it? It is, okay, provide power and water and 7 industrial buildings. So I think we could actually do that really quickly. So that is something that we're going to be doing in the next episode then. So as always, thank you very much for watching, and I will catch you next time.